Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is Eric from Tech. It's been a while since my last unboxing. With the 4 big flagship gaming phones already released, there hasn't been any gaming phone releases that have caught my eye. But ever since I heard about the RedMagic 6R, I wanted to get my hands on it and do a review for you guys. So here it is on my table, waiting for it to be unboxed. So what are we waiting for, guys? Let's open up this phone. So I guess you noticed, guys, it has a RedMagic or Tencent Games logo on the front, so that definitely means that this is the China or the Tencent version. So it's still wrapped in plastic, so I've got my trusty pocket knife and I'll open up the box. Alright, plastic is off. And is the usual Nubia logo on the front. And let's see how to open it. Okay, so it seems to slide out. So unlike the RedMagic 6 and the 6 Pro box, this is more of a regular box. So instead of the bigger and flatter RedMagic 6 and 6 Pro box, the RedMagic 6R comes in a regular box that we're more used to seeing. So it slides up. Okay, and of course, you've got an icon here that says this is most likely the manuals. So let's open it up. Okay, and you've got the SIM ejector tool over there. You got your manuals, Tencent Games, and of course it's all in Chinese. Let's put that aside. And you've got a free jelly case. So it's been pretty cool that phone manufacturers have actually started including a free case in most of their phones. They don't have to worry about going unprotected from day one. Okay, and this is the phone, guys. So I've got the silver version here, but I'll set that aside and see what else is in the box. Got the usual red and black USB-C to USB-C charging cable. And looking at this piece of accessory here, guys, it's telling me that there is no headphone jack on the RedMagic 6R. So it's a USB-C to 3.5mm headphone jack. And you've got the charging brick over here. So for the global version, the max charging speed is 30 watts. And for the Chinese version or the Tencent version, this supports up to 55 watts of quick charging. So this comes with the 55 watt charger out of the box, guys. So let's set all those aside for now and let's go see the phone. So don't actually have to tear this up. Just have to slide it down. There you go. And here's the phone, guys. So it actually looks more like a regular phone than a gaming phone here, guys. They've subdued the design, but there's still some patterns on the side that tells me that this is a gaming phone. And looking at it from the back, it doesn't look like it has any RGB lighting. Now if you compare it with the RedMagic 6 Pro here, this phone actually screams that it's a gaming phone, and this one looks more like a regular phone, and this part of the phone actually makes it look like Xiaomi Mi 11 Ultra. So let's turn on the phone, and one thing I've noticed right off the bat here, guys, it does come with a punch hole right up there. I've actually said it before on my older unboxing videos that I'm not much of a fan of the punch hole. I'd rather take a thicker top and bottom bezel over having a punch hole on the display. So let's talk about some of the key specs of the phone. The display on the RedMagic 6R is slightly smaller than the RedMagic 6 and 6 Pro, coming in at only 6.67 inch versus 6.8 inch on the RedMagic 6 and the RedMagic 6 Pro. And of course, it still retains the Full HD Plus resolution. But the maximum brightness on this display is actually a bit better than the RedMagic 6 and 6 Pro. It maxes out at 770 nits at standard brightness over the 630 on its more powerful brothers. So it's already been set up. Let's go to English and agree. And let me just connect it to Wi-Fi. So just like the 6 Pro and the RedMagic 6, it has an under-display fingerprint scanner. So let me just set it up. So let's go ahead and test the unlock speed on this phone, guys. Pretty impressive unlocking speed on the under-display fingerprint scanner on the RedMagic 6R, guys. So let's continue the discussion with the specs. So like I said, this is a 6.67 inch AMOLED Full HD Plus resolution display, and it has a max refresh rate of 144 Hz. The RedMagic 6 and the 6 Pro can go as high as 165 Hz, but right now it isn't much of an advantage because there's not that many games out there that actually supports that high of a refresh rate. The protection on the front and the back of this phone is actually Corning Gorilla Glass 3. Though you've got that Corning Gorilla Glass 3 protection, guys, I'd still choose to use a case with this phone, and I'm going to be putting a tempered glass on this once I find one that's compatible with it. So in terms of the chipset, not much has changed with the RedMagic 6R compared with the 6 and 6 Pro. This still has the latest and greatest from Qualcomm, which is the Snapdragon 888. And the version that I've got here has 12GB of LPDDR5 RAM and 256GB of UFS 3.1 storage. But one thing different with this display is that this has low blue light eye care certification. So that means it's going to result in less strain on your eyes when you're using the phone. Now in terms of the sampling rate, this still has a 360Hz multi-touch sampling rate similar to the RedMagic 6 and 6 Pro, so there is no downgrade there. Good news here is that it still has the capacitive shoulder buttons at 400Hz with a latency of 8.3 milliseconds. So that's going to offer an almost instant response when you're using the shoulder buttons in first-person shooters or in any other game for that matter. So the phone is dual SIM as usual, and unfortunately guys, it doesn't have microSD card support. And different to the RedMagic 6 and 6 Pro, all the buttons are on the right side. So you've got the volume rockers here, up and down, and you've got the power button. On the RedMagic 6 Pro, you've got the power button on the right, and you've got the volume rockers on the left. And you've got the fan vents on both sides of the phone. So if you noticed on the RedMagic 6R, this doesn't have any fan vents because this phone doesn't have an internal fan. So how that translates to heat during graphic intensive games, we'll find out in my usual benchmark and throttle test that I will have up on the channel in the next couple of days. And another difference with this phone is that it has 4 cameras at the back instead of the 3 on the RedMagic 6 Pro. So it has a 64 megapixel main camera, an 8 megapixel ultra wide, a 5 megapixel macro, which is actually an improvement over the only 2 megapixel macro on 6 Pro, and it has a 2 megapixel depth of field camera. And the selfie shooter is a slight improvement, coming in at 16 megapixels over the 8 megapixels on the 6 and the 6 Pro. Based on early reports, they're saying that the camera system on the 6R is more capable than the cameras that you get on the 6 and the 6 Pro. So let's talk about the battery next. The battery on this phone is only 4200 mAh, which is a downgrade from the 5050 that you get on the global version on the 6 and 6 Pro, and still actually lower than the 4500 mAh on the Chinese version of the RedMagic 6 Pro. Though like I said earlier in the video, the RedMagic 6R supports 55 watts if you have the Tencent or the China version, but if you have the global version, you're limited to just 30 watts of charging. Now before I discuss the gaming features on the phone, I'd like to do my usual speaker test on this. And unfortunately guys, with the loss of the headphone jack, this also doesn't have a stereo speaker setup. So you've only got a single downward firing speaker right there. Let's go ahead and do the speaker test and see how that single speaker sounds. Alright guys, so I've got the RedMagic 6 Pro here for comparison. RedMagic 6R first. Okay, and RedMagic 6 Pro next. Yep, the RedMagic 6 Pro still sounds a lot better because it has the advantage of the stereo speaker setup. So you've got sound coming from the top and from the bottom, whereas on the RedMagic 6R you've only got one speaker. The good thing here is that even though it doesn't look like much of a gaming phone, this phone is kept cool with the latest vapor chamber liquid cooling system. So it has a combination of graphene, vapor chamber liquid cooling, a thermally conductive gel superconducting copper foil, and a metal middle frame. The only thing that it lacks is an internal fan. So for those who are actually worried about the internal fan long term, then this is the phone to get. But we'll see in my gaming and heat test whether this phone can actually compete with the RedMagic 6 and RedMagic 6 Pro. And in terms of operating system or UI, it uses the exact same UI that the RedMagic 6 and 6 Pro does. So putting them side by side, I've used the same theme so I can illustrate to you guys, but they look exactly the same. Though on the RedMagic 6 and 6 Pro, you've got a dedicated button for the RedMagic Game Space. Here on the RedMagic 6R, there is no dedicated button. The way to open up Game Space is to actually go to the drop down right here and look for Game Space. And there you go. So game space is actually virtually identical on the RedMagic 6 Pro and the RedMagic 6R. The only difference is the way you open it. And another cool thing with the RedMagic 6R is that this phone actually also supports charge separation. So this is similar to the bypass charging system that you've got on the ROG Phone 5 and the Lenovo Legion 2. So what this does is that it lets you play off the charger and it stops charging the battery, so it's not going to be generating extra heat and it's going to prolong your battery life over time. And as you see here, it's set to 90 Hz, but I'll just remind me later. And you can see that you've got 60, 90, 120 and 144, so I'll choose that. So out of the box, the display is set to vivid mode, so you've got normal mode, natural mode, but I'd rather keep it at vivid. And it also has an always on display, so let's test out one for now. Let's do that and apply, and let's turn off the screen. Let's go ahead and see it. There you go, guys. And before I forget, guys, there might be a couple of you wondering whether this supports Widevine L1. I'm going to be installing DRM info and we'll find out. Good news, guys, this supports Widevine L1. So good news for Netflix users, you're going to be able to play HD because this supports Widevine L1. So you can enjoy your Netflix on full HD, guys. So I can't wait to put this phone through its paces. So I'm most definitely going to be coming up with a series of videos showing you how powerful this phone is and how hot it will get playing your usual games. So I'll go ahead and end this unboxing video for you guys so I can start right away with those gaming tests and benchmark tests. So please make sure you subscribe and you turn your notifications on so you'll be the first to know once those videos are up. But until then, guys, a sub would be massively appreciated. Please like and subscribe, hit that bell icon notification, and see you all on my next one.